lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to the infamous Talladega Superspeedway for the Alabama Slammer 125 live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is James Kahula. Down in the pits we have Tanner Sharp, and behind the scenes is our director Kevin Brown. As always, our cameras are brought to you tonight by Dougie Beard. This is just the third round of the 2015 ASRS Xfinity series, and so it is still a lot to play for with regards to the point standings, but some drivers could be hit hard here at the Super Speedway tonight, James.
That's right, Samuel. Let's go ahead and throw a wild card into this already pretty crazy short season. Tonight we're going to be running 47 laps at the 2.66 mile Talladega Super Speedway, 33 degrees of banking in the corners. This is a big racetrack, one of those restrictor plate racetracks that we some people love, some people hate, but regardless of what your opinion is, it's always exciting, and we're going to be running there tonight with plenty of action. The guys will be limited to 75% fuel tonight and fixed setups as well.
One driver who will be hoping that things swing his way is Michael Krobach, who is currently the leader of the point standings, but only over 1 point to Dan Murray and by 2 points to Justin Fuller and Jeffrey Gilliam. So it really is going to hurt a couple of those drivers quite a lot if they get involved in some kind of incident. You also see Alex Bates there, 5th in the points, but he's 14 markers back. Certainly not out of it though. And then rounding out the top 10 are Gary Whitson, Austin Missler, Ty Hester, Brian Yatzik, and Alec Marshall. Checkered flag has just waved on the practice session. They are about to have a 5-minute qualifying session where each drivers will have 2 laps, so we'll see if we can get some onboards for you. However, the drivers will be on the track today, but they will also be coming into the pits. Down to our pit reporter, Tanner Sharp. 75% fuel, that means these cars are going to have to make about 1 stop today's Tanner, and there's going to be a lot of strategy involved in when you make that stop.
Yes, there will be a lot of strategy involved with that, and yes, there will be a lot of pit stops, or that one pit stop. Yes, there will be a lot of pit stops, or one pit stop strategy, I should say, at the Talladega Super Speedway with 75% fuel load. That's a little bit less than 18.7 gallons in your fuel tank. So one pit stop fuel strategy, you're going to need a drafting partner. So you're going to need a partner to come down with you down pit road when it comes to Super Speedway racing. If you go down pit road by yourself, well, then you're out of luck. Then you don't have a drafting partner and the cars could lap you right by. So it's always a good idea to plan who's around you on the racetrack to pit with.
And currently we are riding on board the 21 Toyota Camry driven by Nick Cohan. And James, as he goes around here, he's currently doing his outlap. And for the first lap of his qualifying run, he's probably going to continue to run the rim. And then once his car's built up speed, he'll...
running. It takes you so long to get up to speed, and with this being a wide open track, your first lap is just a throwaway. So as we watch Nick go down the backstretch here, he's just going to run the high side, try and wind up as much speed as possible, and then we'll see kind of what strategy he goes with when he comes down to the front stretch, if he tries to use the banking of the tri-oval to kind of get down to get a little extra speed coming through his line. So here we're watching coming off of 4. And yeah, he's going to go ahead and drop down. And this is where the money lap is. He's going to come off of here, try and get a little extra speed coming off. And then, yeah, as far as the money lap, boom, you're going to be right down there on that yellow line. The shortest way around, keep your speed up. This track is very, very, very sensitive. You want to be on the line. You want to be running smooth. Any little ounce of speed you can knock out of it is just going to hurt you. So We look at him barely heading down towards the bottom of the racetrack here. Looks like a good lap for Nick.
Yeah, coming through turns 3 and 4 right now. We'll wait and see where it puts them as he crosses the line. However, the other thing that these drivers have to deal with, James, is that they're all running a fixed setup. So really, your racing line, you've got to be pinpoint perfect if you want to put it on the front row for this race.
Exactly. If you'll watch the qualifying here, Nick is third on that qualifying lap currently. A very good run for him. But you see how close he is to everyone else. We were within a few thousandths, and a few hundredths and few thousandths between everyone. It's real close, and yeah, he's dropping down, but he's not that far off. He's within a tenth of a second of our pole sitter right now. It's crazy tight here, and every little minute detail goes into your qualifying lap here. As Joshua King is currently on the pole with the 6:39. Let's see if that holds up.
Yeah, Nick Cohan has already dropped all the way back to 12th, and really there wasn't that much wrong with his lap. I didn't see a whole lot wrong with it. In fact, times are so close as he gets bumped to 14th that he is tied with Jim Foose for 13th, although they're probably going to continue to be bumped back. We watch a couple other cars finishing up their lap time here, and in a minute the checkered flag will go out and we will advance to the race session. We'll have plenty of time in the long pace lap around here to give you a full rundown of the grid, but as James just mentioned, Joshua Kin is your pole sitter by 1/1000th of a second over Michael Krobach, although that could still be beaten. Now Tanner Sharp, obviously, where these drivers qualify could actually play into how they decide to attack the race once the green flag drops.
Yes, it very well could. If you're starting in the back, some drivers may want to hang out in the back of the pack to avoid the big one and do a pit strategy back there. And some guys who qualified up front might want to attempt to stay up front and do a pit strategy from up there. So it's more of a chess match when it comes to Talladega.
Absolutely, and the chess match is getting ready to make its first move because the checkered flag has finally been put down on this qualifying session. Don't think that'll mean drivers will be able to finish any runs they are on, so hopefully they all put a lap on. I can tell you right now, 2 cars did not. But our pole sitter is Joshua Kim by 1/1000th of a second over Michael Krobach, and by only 3/1000ths of a second over Dan Murray in third. Joe Johnson rounds out the second row ahead of Jamie Moore and Tommy Ryan in 5th and 6th positions, James.
Yes, Switson, who has Ironman Louisville coming up this weekend. Good luck to Bryce. I know that is a big undertaking. He'll be starting in 7th tonight. Outside of him will be Jesse Fowler in 8th. EJ O'Rourke will be starting 9th. Adam Gilliland will be rounding out your top 10. Brian Yatzik in 11th and Jeff Ryan in 12th.
Travis Haggerty will be starting in 13th place, and then lined up alongside him will be the number 19 car of Alex Guys. Jim Foose will be starting pretty much in the middle of the field in 15th there, and Nick Cohan, the driver we were watching at the start of the session, will line up in 16th. Jim and Nick were tied on their lap time. Mark Allen and Cody Rose will start behind them. Over to you, Tanner, for the next 6.
Norman Pelleter III will qualify in 23rd, and Jordy Green will qualify in 24th. Alex Bates will qualify in 25th. Sorry about that, Sam. Where was I? Alex Bates 25th, Keith Jolly in 26th. DJ Beverly in 27th. Steve Bahula qualified 27th. DJ Beverly qualified 27th. Jeff Fuller qualified 28th. Justin Fuller qualified 29th. And the 2 drivers that did not qualify were Jordan Harnish and Carson Orbe.
And that rounds out a 31 car field if a 52 of Jordan Harnish is not in the session. So that will take it down to 30 cars, and Carson Orbe is in the session. However, Steve Bahana is not, so it looks like we will have 29 cars at the start of a race here. And let's watch them do their pace lap here. An EOL penalty being given to Adam Gilliland. That means he will have to drop to the back of the field as they work their way around 2.66 miles of the Talladega Superspeedway here. And also it looks like we have one car starting from the pits of Sean Music. Now, right before we go green, I was about to say let's put our cameras on the middle of the field, but actually let's not, because they're a lot closer to the start-finish line than I thought they were going to be. Now, James, you have watched these guys race around these super speedways more than I have. Who's your money on for tonight?
Well, not to bias, but the Unacceptable Racing guys, they race in KMA, which is exclusively a super speedway league that runs most during the week. That's why we see people like Joshua King out here on the pole. They are very good at working together in these super speedways, but also look for the guys at Whitson Motorsports to be working well together. I think those guys with those big teams are going to be the people to watch today.
Joshua King is our pole sitter, although I couldn't help but notice he was blinking a couple of times there, so hopefully he doesn't have too many connection issues tonight. We are getting ready to go here for 47 laps. Joshua King is about to lead them to the green in the number 35 car there on the low line. Starting on the high side alongside him will be Michael Krobach, and the start finish line is after the tri-oval here. Now the green flag is in the air. They are underway for 47 laps here at the Super Speedway.
Justin Fuller did not get off to a good start. He got into the back of someone on the start when they checked up in front of him. Not happy on the radio.
Yeah, I think Justin Fuller, actually, his connection may have been in and out during his second qualifying run. He says he would have been starting up near the front of the field had that lap counted. It didn't, so he's going to have his work cut out for him tonight. Already, Dan Murray challenging for the lead as they go down to the backstretch. He's pulled upstairs ahead of Michael Krobach, where Joshua King is getting help on the low side from the number 10 of Jamie Moore, and it looks like Kim will come around and complete the first of 47 circuits.
Yeah, and that's going to be the name of the game today, is who are your dancing partners. If you have a good dancing partner, you're able to communicate well with them and work well with them, you can find yourself up to the front. It doesn't matter if you'll be in the front or the back, high line or low line. If you have a good dance partner, you're going to find your way up to the front eventually.
Tanner, we had a spinner there in the tri-oval. It didn't bring out a caution, but Keith Jolly in the number 94 Chevy has came into his pit stall. It looks like he has some damage there.
Yeah, it looks like he has some significant damage there in the number 94 Chevy. He brought down pit road, and it looks like he's staying in his pit road, so he must have some heavy optional or heavy required repairs.
As the field comes around, they will put him a lap down already as they come around to complete lap 2. Joshua King continues to lead on the low side. Dan Murray, though, continues to challenge him for that position. The top two tandems are the same as they were the last lap around, although you can be sure they'll be broken one or two times throughout this race. And now look at Brian Yotzik coming up high. He's in the 91 Chevrolet there, the third car on the high side. But he gets slowed down by that first tandem, and we have a huge pack of cars still on the third lap.
Yeah, and the number 7 and the number 91 of Krobach and Yotzik are teammates, so everyone stick together this early in the race, especially towards the end of the race. Well, it's kind of you're your own best friend towards the end of the race, but right now they'll definitely work with each other, being teammates, and try and get up to the front and try and stay in a good, safe position.
And here they go, they put another lap on the board. Dan Murray has finally taken the lead here, and he did lead that time around, although I can't imagine it was by that much. 6 thousandths of a second was the time distance he had ahead of Krobach, but Murray was able to pull down in front of Joshua King and take the lead away. I'm sure Joshua will be content to ride in second for now, but by the time they get to the 47th lap of this thing, his opinion might change on that a little bit. Krobach now getting the run up on the high side with Brian Yotzik pushing him from behind.
Yeah, and look for that to be the name of the game tonight. These guys are used to running each other, so they will run each other close, and they will have no problem getting close to each other to try and suck the draft away from the other people, side draft as some people would know it. and try and get that extra little advantage, because as you saw on that last lap and this lap, it does not take much between first and second, and that's what this race might come down to.
20. Oh, and there's a crash in the middle of the pack. And this is going to do some drivers in for the day because there are no free repairs in ASRS. Joe Johnson's number 6 car is smoking in the infield. Norman Pelletier is in it as well, as is the number 90 of EJ O'Rourke. And that's a blessing for about 10 cars that had lost the lead pack. Only 22 of our 30 starters were really still up there with it. Unfortunately, some of those were the ones that got caught up in our first big one of the day.
And it looked like the number 6 of Joe Johnson made a little contact with Jim Proust there in the 2 car. Jim comes around, and then that's what we see so many times here at these super speedways, is one person gets involved and everybody gets involved. There's nowhere to go. You're running so close, and then we see the aftermath.
That's a shame for Jim Proust, because he actually has a nice painted car there this week in that number 2 Chevrolet. On the hood tonight, he's got IDL Life, which stands for Individually Designed Life, which offers all natural nutrition and supplements. Unfortunately, the paint scheme looks slightly altered now due to that incident. The good news for Foose is that there's no smoke coming out the back of that Chevy, so hopefully he'll be able to come into the pits. And obviously, Tanner, something that's advantageous about this giant super speedway is that the caution laps take forever. So if you do have a substantial amount of repairs to do, you can get them done without losing a lap.
Right.
Yeah, you can get a lot of damage at this racetrack, but if you have a lot of damage that requires a long required or optional repair, you can certainly go a lap down here at this track. But if it's just minimum, then you can save a lap and stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, and the Nationwide Children's Hospital car on Jim Cruise's car tonight. Very cool organization and very cool colors to see on his car tonight. And again, we see a little bit of pit strategy down there.
Yeah, ID Life and the Nationwide Children's Hospital car. And as you mentioned, a bit of strategy here, because some cars came into the pits, some didn't. Among those who didn't were Michael Krobach and Joshua King, who decided to stay out. And unless this race turns into a caution fest, which I don't think it will, the ASRS are usually pretty clean racers, I don't see these drivers being able to make it on fuel without pitting due to the caution laps. I have a feeling everyone's going to have to come in and pit at some point during the race. Tanner, do you think this is too early, though, for these drivers to come in and make it to the end?
Think so. I think it's a good time to come down pit road. If you're in the back of the pack, come down pit road, take some tires, sometimes 2 tires, but if you're way in the back, take 4 tires, take advantage of the fuel, and if we get an early caution, maybe you can get up to the front and lead some laps as part of a strategy.
Yeah, especially if these drivers still at the front still have to make a stop later on. We can tell you we have had 2 official retirements from the race after that wreck. Joe Johnson, whose car we saw smoking, and Adam Gilliland, who was also involved in that incident. He's recently just began racing with the ASRS, a former pro driver in the NASCAR iRacing series, so certainly a driver to watch out for. Unfortunately, the bad thing about the big one, James, is it can happen to anyone. It can take out even the best of drivers.
Yeah, and you have those guys that will run at the back. We'll be safe up here. Some guys, will run at the front, like we'll be cool up here. The big one can happen anywhere. We've seen it happen anywhere. And that's just the nature of these restrictor plate racetracks. No matter where you are, you're so close to everyone else that it's sometimes it pays to be more lucky than good, because if you are in the wrong place, you could be doing nothing wrong and you'll be collected in it.
22 cars still on the lead lap. I'm on those 1 lap down now, or multiple laps down due to the incident. Adam Gilliland, who has retired, Norman Pelletier, Mark Allen, Steve Buhala, who wasn't involved in the wreck, but he was actually late joining the session, and also Joe Johnson, who's out, Aaron Kleinhans, Keith Jolly, Carson Orbe, and Jordan Harnish. Jordan Harnish did not take the green flag, so only 22 cars still on the lead lap. And Tanner, you got some news on Dan Murray?
Yes, I do. He is sitting in P10 right now, as we were talking about strategy before. He's sitting in P10 with 2 right side tires and a full tank of gas. So he's sitting in P10, looking pretty good.
Now, one thing I noticed in that first run, James, is there really wasn't a whole lot of passing going on. That most of the drivers, at least up front, seemed to still be at the end of the run where they were at the start of the race. The exceptions to that right now are Brian Yarczyk and Jared Haggerty running 3rd and 4th after starting 11th and 13th. Really, what is the best way to make moves here around Talladega?
And again, it's all about having good people to work with. And these guys, they might be taking it easy. A lot of these people have not run a super speedway race since February in the truck series here. And, there's a couple of guys that have run the nationwide series, or the Cup Series, have run the Cup Series earlier this year. And some of those guys have experience, but a lot of these guys, they have not run since February. So this is something that's completely new to them, and so they kind of need to get reacclimated to it, because it's different than any other type of racing that we have.
And the pace car lights are off. You can see how exhausting it is for these drivers under caution here. These cautions do go on forever. It might not seem like it right now, but be honest, let's be honest, if there's a couple more cautions during this race, well, let's just hope that doesn't happen. Michael Krobach will lead them back to the green ahead of Joshua Kim, Brian Yarczyk, Jared Haggerty, Bryce Whitson, Jesse Fowler, Tommy Ryan and Jeff Ryan and Jody Green. Those are the 9 cars that did not make a pit stop, who are going to lead the field back to green. And we'll wait and see if Dan Murray, who was running up front early on, can work his way through the field, find a partner and get up to the front of the field for the second run of the day. 22 cars still on the lead lap, as we mentioned. 2 drivers who are trying to catch up with the pace car because they've been getting damaged repaired are Sean Music and Jim Foose, and they'll be hoping for a couple other cautions, to be honest, to try and get even more repairs done. Obviously they're going to try and stay and run under green and keep up with the lead pack during this run, which hopefully will go on for a little while here. As the Ford Mustang pace car leads them out of turn 4, we'll be back to green very soon.
Yeah, and you have 3 Whitson Motorsports drivers there on the inside, but on the outside you have Joshua King, and Jared Haggerty is kind of in no man's land, because right behind him you have Jesse Fowler and Jeff Ryan. Those are all teammates, so Jared Haggerty better play his cards right to not get shuffled back here. But we have 2 real big teams that know how to work well together here on these super speedways as they get the green. It'll be interesting to see which one of them will prevail.
Well, that's certainly not how you work well together. Michael Krobach has opened up about 10 car lengths on the rest of the field as they go into turn 1. Now they're finally running them down. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's good, right? Put a gap on the rest of the field, but definitely not at restrictor plate racing. You want to have that guy behind you right on your rear bumper. That's how you get to run fast. However, the drive I'm feeling bad for right now is Joshua Kidd. He is on that high side all by himself, and he is going to be dropping back through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, if he's able to slide underneath behind Jared Haggerty here, he's got he's got the cavalry right there behind them. So he's not too far off right now. But Dan Murray, he just got laid out there by Jeff Ryan. So let's see if he can get that outside working. He's got Nick Cohan, which is someone that he runs very closely with, associate teams there. Let's see if they're able to make a charge on the outside. But we have a very interesting run going on right now.
And Bryce Whitson has been shuffled out of the lead pack. They're going to go upstairs and try and pick him up. Michael Krobach and Brian Yarczyk working with Bryce. It looked like they were both going to go back low and leave Bryce out to dry. However, that did not happen. They went upstairs and picked him up. But that does open the bottom lane up to Jared Haggerty. And look at Dan Murray trying to make it 3 wide in the middle of the field. I think it might be a little bit too early for that.
Dan Murray is one of those aggressive drivers where if he can make a move, he will definitely make it. And Talladega is definitely wide enough. That just shows that he has a lot of trust in the people around him, that he can make that 3 wide move and hold it off. But wisely drops back in there behind Bryce Whitson.
Jim Foose has pulled his car into the pits. It seems he still has quite a bit of damage, and there's almost a few more cars with damage here as Brian Yatzik comes downstairs right on the nose almost to Bryce Whitson. Michael Robot gets shuffled out, so they are about 3 wide right now in the middle of the pack, trying to break away up front. Jared Haggerty leading the field. Joshua Akena's rounding his way back up into second. Side by side for third now are Brian Yatzik, and there on the inside is Jesse Fowler.
Yeah, and Jared Haggerty found himself in a good position. He's leading the unacceptable racing train right now. But look at Justin Fuller back there. I guess that if he's able to draft well, even though he has that damage from the start of the race, and I guess if he's able to work well with people and he has a decent enough car where he's able to go up there and run, as we are running 3 wide close to the lead right now.
Justin Fuller, known as a very fast driver on the speedways and short tracks. Really, being a fast driver doesn't always mean as much when you get to Talladega, other than respect. Justin Fuller certainly trying to prove me wrong by starting from the back of the field and trying to work his way up front here. However, the driver they're all going to have to beat right now is Brian Yatzik. Something you don't say that often at Talladega is that the middle lane seems to be the fastest way around, but that seems to be the case this time, and there's almost contact in the battle for third between Alan Young and Darren Haggerty, but fortunately they all get away okay.
Yeah, as they head down to the bottom lane, that bottom lane will be preferred, but you can make passes there on the outside lane, so it's just going to be how good of a side drafter are you. Take away that air from that lane that has that momentum there on the outside and see if you could stall it and keep them back behind there, but it looks like
yeah, Alan Young has moved up into the top spot here. Once again, the middle lane getting the push. And the driver pushing him was Justin Fuller, but here we go. Down into turns 3 and 4 again. The bottom lane comes back in, and Brian Yatzik retakes the top spot. It's going to be interesting to see who will lead lap 14 around here, because Dan Murray is coming on the high line too, and they go forward. There's a wreck. Jared Haggerty spins into the middle of the field, and was that Justin Fuller in the 51 car, I think? Was involved in contact with him, but we are still green. And that has broken up a pack, and now the caution flag finally flies. And I think that's because Joshua King came spinning back up onto the circuit. Yeah, it started with Justin Fuller and Jared Haggerty got together. There was a couple bobbles in the middle of the field, and they ended up being about 4 wide. Fortunately, Tanner, it doesn't look like there were too many cars that got that badly damaged.
No, it doesn't look like too bad. They could probably get in there. I'm thinking about maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds of optional repairs. But if they can get that in there and get that fixed, they can stick right in the lead pack, because I seen Justin Fuller with front end damage from the previous incident, and he hung right in there with the lead pack.
And we're watching Justin Fuller taking a look at the damage there on the number 51 car. And I have a feeling we're going to see some pit stops here. And yeah, Fuller should still be on the lead lap after that, but he'll probably come down into the pits for more than one pit stop. Now, Fuller's saying he's not too happy about the cause of that incident. I guess he's not putting the blame on himself. But at the same time, it seems he has been given the black flag. So I'm not entirely sure what exactly is going on in the discussions there behind the scenes. But it seems some drivers are evidently not pleased with each other. And now it looks like a field is coming into the pits, and I should imagine and actually we have an incident entering the pits. There's a spinner, DJ Beverly, but he's able to keep it off of the wall. But still, a scary moment there for the number 101 car, as the rest of the field comes into the pits without going for a spin.
And we have an onboard of DJ Beverly here. Let's see what happens to him coming into the pit road. Could definitely get tight. Yep, and just a little too hard on the braking there. Looks like he's able to stay off the wall, and no harm, no foul.
Now, one driver who was a bit too soft on the braking was Bryce Whitson. He overshot his pit stall. Now, the problem, obviously, at Talladega is, the problem in any oval race when you overshoot your pit stall is you lose a couple of seconds and several positions. But at Talladega, you got such long gears, so it might actually take you a little while to get placed back into your pit stall. So Bryce will probably lose a few spots from that. However, if you're gonna have a mistake, might as well make it early. Unfortunately for the front half of this field, they don't have any damage, and that's probably good news for them right now, because we've already had a lot of drivers be knocked out. Cody Rose will lead the field back to the restart.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some information to see if these guys can make it here on this being their last pit stop. We'll see exactly how well that goes. Yeah, it looks like they should be able to make it here the rest of the way. So for those guys that pitted there, look for them to not be coming back in anymore. That's their plan, at least.
Alright, well, these cautions seem to take a little while around Talladega, so we're going to go for a quick break. We will be back to you for the restart, as actually the leaders who didn't come in last time around, Cody Rose and Sean Music, come into the pits. So it will be Dan Murray, I think, leading them back to the restart. We'll be back momentarily. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway, where the field just came into the pits, except for Sean Music, who also had an incident entering pit road, and it looks like he's out of the race. Dan Murray about to lead them back to green here, Tanner, and that's because he took no tyres.
Yeah, he took 2 tires on the previous run earlier. I think after the first caution, he came in, he took 2 tires, and he was moving up through the field pretty good. And under this caution, he came in to take fuel only, which beat out EJ O'Rourke for 2 tires. So he gains the advantage on the fuel strategy there, and it seems like tires do not mean to be in play. Dan Murray, the only one out with no tires. Everybody else took at least 2 tires or 4 tires.
And everyone should be able to make it to the end of the race from here. 26 laps left to go when they cross the line, which probably sounds like, doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly, it might go pretty quickly if we stay green. Dan Murray leads the field back to green in his Toyota Camry, and it is not a good start by EJ O'Rourke on the high line. So up into second position now goes the number 21 car of Nick Cohen.
Nick's one of those guys that definitely never count him out. He's very smart, very wily, and he will do good at these races, at these type of tracks.
It seems that each of these starts, they all get single file there going through turns 1 and 2, but we don't see a lot of single file racing, it seems, with this series. They all get 2 double and triple file around here pretty quickly. Now, you see there, EJ O'Rourke in the number 90 dropping back, and that might be due to the damage he actually has on his car. But going back with him is Alan Young. They're still inside the top 10, but it is Dan Murray leading the field around to complete lap 20.
Yeah, and that front group, we definitely have a decisive breakaway. We have about the top 10 cars that have broken away from the rest of the field, and we have a good second back to that second group, but that second group is getting organized, and they're going to have to try and run those guys down here. It looks like a couple of those guys are going to be working together to try and run them down, and might take them a few laps, but when they're here, we might see them come back, and we'll have one big group again.
And they are 3 wide for the lead. Nick Cohan is taking it on the low side, well, I knew Dan Murray is getting the run on the middle lane here, and the drive on the high side, all on his own, is Jamie Moore, and he's dropping to the back of the pack. And Murray will continue to lead as they come across the line for lap 21, but it certainly got interesting. Over in turns 3 and 4 there, as the front pack breaks away. Meanwhile, we did have a driver into the in the pits last time by, and that was Justin Fuller. I'm not sure if that was to serve his black flag.
Yeah, that was a black from the last incident, but still a very big racetrack. There's a chance that he might get out there, and if he could find a drafting partner or stay up close to the lead, once he does get lapped, then there's a good possibility that he can get the lucky dog and get back out there into contention on there if he doesn't have too much damage. And again, Nick Cohan and Dan Murray going at it. We'll see who's going to get them across the line this time. It does look like it was Nick Cohan that time by 6/1000ths of a second.
And we'll have plenty more photo finishes like that as the race goes on. Will we have one at the finish? Probably likely if it's under green. Nick Cohan now finally pulling out front, and actually, now Alex Bates, it looked like he was making a move, and he might actually be making a move, but I don't think that was his intention. I think he was just trying to get some cool air, and that broke away the momentum of the inside lane because he didn't do a very good job of it. And what that means is Dan Murray is now able to come downstairs and retake the lead from Nick Cohan. However, EJ O'Rourke decides to stay up front, up on the high side, despite the left rear damage, and now they go by Justin Fuller, and that got a bit hairy there. But Dan Murray once again leads the field at the completion of lap 23. Dan Murray certainly knows how to stay out front here, James. Oh, and there's a collision in the back of the field.
Looks like Alan Young is involved. Oh, we have someone
Alan
spinning
Young's
up in
going for a
front.
ride.
That is Mark Myers is also involved, and they keep piling in behind.
Well, that's the worst kind of wreck because it took place in the first pack, and the problem was there was a second pack about a second behind, and that second pack kind of came in and didn't have time to slow down for the first pack. They were coming in so fast that they were hitting stationary objects, and that led to a lot of engines blowing and a lot of cars flipping over. Kind of became a bit of a demolition derby there over in turn 1 that time by.
If we can, I would love to get an onboard of the 98 of Jesse Fowler. Did everything that he could to avoid that wreck and zigged and zagged all his way through there and was able to keep his car clean through it.
Yeah, we will get a replay of that.
Joshua
Jesse
King
Fowler
with damage as well.
Yeah, I think he had some early damage from an earlier wreck as well. Yeah, Jesse Fowler did very well to get on the brakes as soon as he saw there was trouble in front of him, go down to the apron, and as you say, went from the apron to the track to the apron, wherever he could go to make sure that he came out without a scratch on that number 98 car. It has paid off for him because he is currently running in 11th now.
Yeah, and Jamie Moore just went kablamo. That should be the end of his race, and it looks like Justin Fuller will be your first car one lap down. Maybe he can get through there and get some of that repair, some of that damage repaired, and to get back out there and hopefully have a salvage a good finish out of this.
Very odd to see some of the leaders coming in, considering that I think they were good on fuel and tyres don't really mean a whole lot around here, but sure enough, Dan Murray does lead some cars in, and that means that we will have a new leader when they go back to green, and that looks like it will be Brian Yatzik, Tommy Ryan, Jody Green, Bryce Whitson, and Jesse Fowler, who stayed out. EJ O'Rourke wins the race off a pit road, and he is in 6th, Tanner.
Yeah, I had my eyes on Dan Murray there. I don't have any information on the 6 car yet, but Dan Murray did come in and take 4 tires. I have no idea why, but he did come and take 4 tires. Maybe the tires that he didn't, where he didn't take left sides at all, so handling might came into play for the number 5 car.
And unfortunately, after that incident, I think we're going to have a lot fewer cars when we go back under green, but we still have plenty of big names up there. There will be less than 20 laps to go, and we will have the restart for you when we return after this break. Hello and welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway, where caution and around the pit stops have changed up the order a little bit, and James, you're beginning to notice some teams emerging up front.
Yeah, it's funny. It's at a track where you need to work well with other people. The people that are on teams seem to be working well. You have the emergence of Whitson Motorsports. You have the Unacceptable Racing Crew. And you also have Steel Horse Racing and Dizzy Motorsports, which those guys work really well together. And EJ O'Rourke, which I'm not sure exactly which team he is on, and Alex Bates are your only people that aren't a part of those three teams that are in the top 10 right now. So it's funny. The teams are the cream is rising to the top if you have good teammates to work with.
And now, Tanner, some drivers came in just to top up with fuel, which would make sense if maybe they thought, hey, maybe I might be a little bit short, let's be safe. But why would they be coming in to change tyres, considering how many yellow flag laps we've had today?
Well, it could be a couple different things. It could be the way the car is handling in the draft. It could be getting tights and washing up the racetrack. So some drivers feel like they have to come in and get some tires so they can handle the car better in the draft. It could be a number of things, but that would be my first guess on tires.
Brian Yatzik about to lead the field back to green. He is in the number 91 Chevy on the low side. Up high, it's Tommy Ryan. Brian Yatzik gets on the gas pedal early. He is going to lead the field as they come across the line to complete lap 28. 19 laps left to go, and now he goes upstairs. He's going to try and pick up Tommy Ryan in the number 99 car on the low side. It's Jody Green. That's Jim Foose. Single car spin doesn't bring out the caution. Or I think it was Jim Foose. But yeah. He's back going now. And now they're 3 wide down the backstretch.
Man, this race is getting good. It's going to be who you can get in lined up with these double file restarts. It could really screw up some of these teams because you might not be right behind your teammate on that restart, and so that's going to make it difficult to find your dancing partner again and getting back in line. But we have Tommy Ryan taking the lead this lap here. Looks like Bryce is right behind him, giving him a good push on the high side there. We'll see if Tommy's going to play nice and work with him, or if he's going to try and come down in front of Brian Yasek when he gets ahead. We'll see what happens as Brian will kind of pull even with him coming down the backstretch.
As we ride on board Michael Crowbach as they come to the line this time by, it will be just 17 laps to go. Tommy Ryan continues to lead them on the high side. Now, of course, teams might be able to come less into play if we stay under green until the end of this sin, which could be a possibility, considering now we only have 14 cars left on the lead lap. Now that Alec Guys has just came into the pits, it's going to lead at the line this time by, it looks like it will be Yatzik, but only by a nose, only by 0.06 of a second. That's the third time we've called up that exact number, actually. And now Brian Yatzik gets a bit of an edge down there in turns 1 and 2, and it's a driver we haven't mentioned a whole lot, Jody Green, who's helping him out there, James.
Yeah, Jody Green making his return to iRacing. He used to race in the DMP League many years ago. Just got signed back up and got back out here a couple weeks ago. Really great to see Jody back out here. But don't think because he's been off for a while that he is at all rusty. He's jumped right back in and started where he's left off, and that's why we see him up here battling for that lead. He's just as wily as he used to be.
Meanwhile, the top 9 cars are in the pack, and then there's a breakaway to Jeff Ryan and Joshua King just running there 10th and 11th, probably waiting for these cars to wreck, which is definitely a possibility, looking at them taking up 3 lanes as they go through turns 1 and 2. Yatzik once again has the edge, Tommy Ryan there in 2nd, Jody Green in 3rd. This Whitson is also there, as is Jesse Fowler, who had that wreck avoidance during the last caution that we ran on board, but once again using that high line, rim riding the high side is the number 5 of Dan Murray, and we know he's never afraid to make it 3 wide.
Exactly, and it's kind of interesting. You have a unacceptable racing driver pushing a Woodson Motorsports, and then you have a Woodson Motorsports pushing an unacceptable racing driver, and then you have the Steel Horse Dizzy Motorsports duo on the outside trying to make it happen. These guys are it's like a game of Twister. You're all tangled up with people that you're not wanting to run with. Oh, as we have a lap car coming up here, Dan Murray and Nick Cohan wisely get down out of the way. That was almost bad there. So they're going to have to try and regroup and try and make another run up to the front.
That was a lap car of Tim Fuchs, whose damage isn't as bad as probably what you think it is there. Obviously, the problem with him spinning on the restart is that when you lose a draft here, that means you're about 10 miles an hour slower than anyone else, even if you didn't have damage on your car. Meanwhile, these two packs at the front have seemed to have reformed, and now this is an 11 car pack. And because of Nick Cohan and Dan Murray having to roll out on the gas, they fall into the back of it. And now EJ O'Rourke is going to have to go and join them because he's gotten shuffled up there onto the high side.
Yeah, and you saw Tommy Ryan. He thought about going low and joining the low lane there, and he hesitated just a minute, and he lost contact with Bryce Whitson. He did not have that push anymore, and so that cost him the lead, as we see in front of him now that he's having to push.
Yeah, and if Jody Green leads this lap, which he probably won't do actually, it looks like Yatzik will, but Jody Green was 5th at the start of this lap, so that shows you just how fast it can change here at Talladega. But once again, it's Yatzik who's going to have his nose out in front, and he seems solid here today, James.
Yeah, and again, this is just coming down to high-speed chess. Where can you place your car in the right position at the right time? And man, we have 3 main players here, as Dan Murray and Nick Cohan. They are not ready to give it up yet, as they're going to try and make a run there on the outside. Man, this is getting close.
3 tandems, 3 abreast through turn 3. Brian Yatzik leading the inside line, Jody Green leading the middle line, and Dan Murray was leading the outside lane, but they actually lost a bit of a momentum over in the turns there. Now, these drivers are far away from the finish, but they're still going to have to worry about engine temperatures. During the final 2 laps, just expect them to push the heck out of each other. But Jody Green is actually in front now of Brian Yatzik, despite being back out in 5th a couple of laps ago. In the number 99 car, Tommy Ryan is trying to push him around the outside. And we haven't really mentioned Jesse Fowler a whole lot, but he is a drive on the low side there, giving Yatzik his help.
Yeah, and these guys are going to have to be careful. Engine temperatures will get hot when you get right up behind someone like that. So, as you see, as both Jesse Fowler and Tommy Ryan give a little bit of space there to try and cool their engines, and that's when we see that outside line start to take advantage as they're coming up here. We are 3 wide for the lead right now. Who's going to get it this lap? It looks like Jody Green is going to barely get beaten out there by Bryce Whitson.
And it's about to get very interesting on the backstretch, because Jared Haggerty is a lap car all on his own, and if he's smart, he will probably pull it to the apron and just let the leaders by here, and that's what he's going to do. Well done, Jared, and that means this pack is able to go by him without any incidents. Oh, although they almost had an incident there as Cohan came down and almost made contact with Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, this is where, again, you saw Bryce Whitson get down there with Yatzik, his teammate. He wants to be pushed by the guy that his no is going to stay with him, and it's not going to bail out on him. As now we see Woodson Motorsports 2 on the inside. We have Unacceptable Racing 2 in the middle, and then we have Steel Horse Racing and Dizzy Motorsports on the outside, though it looks like they're going to come back and regroup here. Now we have 3 Unacceptable Racing there in the middle, with Jesse Fowler, the 4th guy there on that team, down there behind the Woodson Motorsports duo.
And the field is working lap 38 right now, which means it'll be 9 to go when they come across the line. Jody Green gets the nose out in front of Bryce Whitson. The teammates are all working together now, so maybe they'll stay like this until the race end. and in which case, as they go by Justin Fuller there, who got involved in an incident earlier, and shortly they will be putting Alex Guy's a lap down, which will leave us... Oh, Alex Guy's is already a lap down, so there's only 13 cars on the lead lap with Steve Buhala, who isn't actually part of this pack, rounding out that field. Now they're about to come up on Guys. They're probably going to have to sort themselves out here unless they can get to the backstretch and Guys just drops down low. But still, every lap car is a possible threat for something to go wrong.
Yeah, and as you can see, either line can really get an advantage, and I would not be surprised to see them running side by side till the end of this race. Right now, they're locked dead even. You'll see the outside line kind of prevail on the straightaways, but the inside line will get a pull there in the corners. So it's just going to be a matter of exactly this right here, kind of timing it down, and you're going to have this photo finish if they stay this way. Looks like Jody Green is going to barely beat out Bryce Whitson again. 5 1/1000ths of a second that time. It was 7 1/1000ths of a second that last time. This is getting very crazy here as we have a lap car. He's going to very wisely pull down there to the inside. This might give that advantage to that outside line, as it looked like Bryce got disconnected with Brian Yatzik there. As we have EJ O'Rourke trying to get in there. Oh, he's going to make contact with Jeff Ryan there in the 39, and Bryce Whitson are going to go down there. They look like they're below. We're going to stay green here. Wow, tough break for those guys, but as we're going to get a replay here.
And that all began because Jolly, I think, was a little bit hesitant to get down on the low line, and that caused Bryce Whitson to back off. They ended up going about 4 wide down the back stretch. Couple of cars made contact, 3 of them spun into the inside wall. It was all under the apron though, so that means we stay green, but it also means that the pack at the front of the field has been reduced in number and size.
Well, now we're going to find out who the prettiest girl is at the dance, because we are down to 2 and 2 and 2. We have Whitson Motorsports, we have Unacceptable Racing, and we have Steel Horse and Dizzy Motorsports. We just had, each one has 2 dancing partners left. Let's see what is going to happen, who's going to prevail. It looks like Dan Murray and Nick Cohan are going to stay back there right now, kind of keep their engines cool, and probably see them here with a couple laps to go try and make that run there on the outside. But we have the front 4 that are going to keep working together and try and maintain that advantage that they have.
And real quickly, James, give us a rundown on who's in each of those teams.
Yes, so we have Jody Green and Tommy Ryan, which are Unacceptable Racing. Michael Krobach and Brian Yatzik, which are Whitson Motorsports. Dan Murray is Steel Horse Racing, and Nick Cohan is Dizzy Motorsports, though they have worked well together in the past, so expect those 2 to work really well together today.
None of the drivers involved in that previous incident headed into the pit, so they're going to try and drive it out. Now we're about to come to 5 to go. The significance of that is that if a caution comes out, we'll pretty much end the race. No green-white checkers in iRacing, so hopefully these guys can keep it green to the end, or at least to the white flag. There's no cautions on the white flag lap either. Jody Green currently crowding out Michael Krobach down on the low line, trying to work out side draft. Dan Murray looking to the outside to Tommy Ryan. He's not going to stay back there forever, and these drivers are probably racing for the win now, James, knowing that a caution would end it, so you want to have your car up front just in case.
Exactly, and all these guys have proven themselves to be very good restrictor plate racers. We had Dan Murray, which was your Cup Series Daytona winner earlier this season here in February. Tommy Ryan and Jody Green, they run the restrictor plates very often, and so look for them to be up there. And as well as Krobach and Yatzik, they are very, they've been running these super speedways a lot this last week to kind of get practice for this exact race. As we have, we have an incident.
And that will end it. All of them were pretty much involved except for Dan Murray. It began with contact between Tommy Ryan and a couple of the other cars, and that will end the race and give the win to Dan Murray.
Yeah, we see Dan Murray making that run on the outside, and then it looks like Tommy and Nick Cohan make some contact, and that takes out the rest of it. Dan Murray's able to scoot by on the outside. He will be your winner today.
Tommy Ryan will squeak by in second, Brian Yatzik in third, and Jesse Fowler in fourth, Nick Cohan in fifth. And then the driver who really got beat up out of that was Michael Krobach. His engine is blowing. Jody Green is crabbing, but he'll at least be able to make it around to the finish. I'm not sure you can say the same about Krobach, which was unfortunate because he was leading the points coming in.
That's a real shame that those guys could not set out there. But that's just a matter of restrictor plate racing. Where is that guy on relation to you? You can't see well out of these cars, and we saw that contact, and it doesn't take much. You run so close that everyone was just involved, and Dan Murray again has proven himself that he is a great restrictor plate racer. He's going to sneak by on the outside and be your winner today. Great run by him.
Yeah, to give you an update, they're about to cross the line for 2 laps left to go under caution speed, so it'll take them a few minutes to make it around to the checkered flag, and some cars might not make it around to the checkered flag, and of course the main one I'm talking about there is Krobach, and in fact he has brought it down into the pits there, Tanner.
Yeah, he's brought it to the pits. He thought he could make it around the racetrack while the car was smoking, but I guess the car wasn't able to handle it fast, so he decided to park it and tow it to the pits.
So, not going to be a whole lot of drivers left on the lead lap at the end of this thing. Unfortunately, there were a few incidents today. We still had a decent amount of green flag racing, but the incidents that there were seemed to take out a few cars each time there, Drains, and that led to us really, I think we're going to have less than 10 cars on the lead lap at the end of this thing.
Yeah, and sometimes these cars come out of here to restrictor plate racetracks looking like they just got done running at a short track. You have such close contact, and when you get involved, it's typically not a small incident, as we've seen tonight. Each incident has collected at least a couple drivers on here, and so real sad these guys could not finish it out under Gello, and that there was that contact there at the end. But still, great job to Dan Murray, and you're going to have Tommy Ryan coming in second, Brian Yazik in third. Jesse Fowler is going to keep his nose clean and come in fourth today, and Nick Cohan, which was involved in that accident, will round out the top 5.
Jody Green, EJ O'Rourke, Joshua King, Jeff Ryan, and Alex Bates also up there. I don't think we mentioned Alex at all today. It looks like he's going to come away with the top 10. These drivers are about to take a white flag, and like we say, they've still got to make it all the way around to the checkered. I can tell you that Jamie Moore and Michael Krobach have officially retired from the race, and we will give you a full race rundown not soon after the checkered flag flies here, so you can find out exactly where your favourite driver finished. And the newly painted Ford Mustang pace car about to lead them through the tri-oval now, and this is really where perseverance has paid off, James, for those drivers who were involved in incidents early that may not be on the lead lap anymore, but are going to be able to come away with a top 15 finish, such as Justin Fuller, Jared Haggerty and Jim Fuchs.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of how this race goes, is you don't know exactly how it's going to wind up going, so you need to try and salvage as much as you can. And as you saw, all those lap cars, all those damaged cars that the leaders were running up on, they're out there trying to get as many laps as they can, try and salvage that finish, because again, anything can happen. You don't know how many of those cars are going to be involved in that incident if it winds up happening. But look for Dan Murray, who came in 1 point behind Michael Krobach in leading into this race, to come out with a big points advantage heading into the last couple of races as well. Alex Bates, he lost the draft on that last run, but comes in with a top 10. He had another great points day, and look for him to also move up in the standings as well, to try and keep even with the rest of the guys that did not have good days. Michael Krobach again involved in that last incident. Justin Fuller, who was involved in a couple today. Jeffrey Gilliam and Gary Whitson, who weren't here. It's going to definitely shuffle up the points a little bit, but Dan Murray is definitely smiling for sure.
The good news for Michael Krobach is it looks like, because they were so close to the finish, he is going to finish in 13th position, the first car 2 laps down, because pretty much everyone who wasn't on the lead lap anymore was more than 2 laps down. So it looks like Krobach will still walk away with the 13th, which is definitely not what he would have been hoping for, but still it's going to be better than some of the other big names who were taken out early, who maybe had a championship on their mind. They were going to finish 20th, and of course some drivers who didn't even show up here today. No, I guess the 13th, if you crashed, isn't the worst finish you could possibly get. But the best finish you could possibly get is first place, and Dan Murray is about to come through the tri-oval and take it right now, ahead of Tommy Ryan. Dan Murray wins here at Talladega.
Great run by Dan Murray. Another restrictor plate win for him this year. He's one of those guys that's just going to stick around and sneak by with the win there at the finish, and he's done it multiple times. So very good at keeping his car out of trouble, and a very well-deserved win there today.
And we will be back to talk with Dan Murray and Tommy Ryan and Brian Yatzik in a moment and give you a full race rundown, so stick around, and we'll be back in a moment on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway, where we just saw 47 laps here around the 2.66 mile circuit, and at the end of the day, under the caution flag, the win was taken by Dan Murray. Following him behind was Tommy Ryan and Brian Yahtzee. Jesse Fowler and Nick Cohan rounded out the top 5. It was Jody Green, EJ O'Rourke, Joshua Kinn, Jeff Ryan and Alex Bates rounding out the top 10 there, James.
We also have Switson coming in 11th tonight. He was up there in the heat of it for most of the race. Coming home, sadly, in 11th, a lot lower than he was hoping for. Steve Bruhala will come in 12th today. Alex Geese in 13th. Justin Fuller trying to stay up in that championship hunt. Not a good day for him, but he's going to come home and salvage a 14th place finish. Jared Haggerty, he led some laps earlier. He comes in 15th. Michael Krobach will come in 16th. Again, he was involved in that race there towards the end. Very disappointing day for him. Jim Foose comes in 17th. Keith Jolly in 18th. Mark Allen in 19th. And Alan Young will round up your top 20. Tanner.
In 21st position, rounds out Jamie Moore. 22nd, Mark Myers. 23rd, Cody Rose. 23rd, DJ Beverly. 25th, Norman Pelleter. The third. 26th, Sean Music. 27th, Adam Gillen. 28th, Joe Johnson. 29th, Aaron Clements. And 30th is Carson Orbe.
And now we are going to talk to a few of our top finishers here, beginning with our third place finisher, Brian Yahtzee, who was running up there in the lead pack, leading the lead pack around for a long time, but at the end of the day there, Brian, you kind of got shuffled back in the closing laps and unfortunately got a piece of that wreck with 2 to go.
Yeah, it was a pretty nuts race. We were all, we're all kind of all on top of each other. You know, you get a kind of a fixed setup race. That's kind of naturally what happens. But, I thought we had a shot at it. I was going to try to make another run to get back along the bottom. And then I think the 16 got into the car that was in front of him or on the top side of him. And, things kind of happened there. I was more impressed with my save. They hit me right in the door and I kept it sideways and then kept around the track and finished third. I'll take that.
Absolutely, yeah, that was a nice save there on the apron. We were kind of watching the cars spinning around behind you, but yeah, nice job to be able to put away a top 3 finish. Are you satisfied with third, knowing that anything can happen at Talladega?
I am satisfied throughout the middle part of the race that I was leading. I was thinking that, we were going to be all right, maybe pull out a win. But my first 2 races in this series, I've gotten top 15. I mean, like 12th and 14th place finishes. So I knew if I had any shot at this end of the year points, I needed a great run. And coming out of Talladega with it being the wild card, anything can happen. If I can't win, I'll take a top 3. The season needed it for me.
Absolutely, it's early days in the championship. We don't cover this series a whole lot, but how do you like this Xfinity car? How do you like this racing compared to the truck series?
It drives kind of like a truck, but it's got more throttle response. With the truck being lower on horsepower, you kind of feel like you're rocking in the car sometimes to try to get it to get some oomph off the corner, but. The Xfinity car is fun. It's just a lot of fun, especially plate racing. As wild as it is, we were 2 wide, 3 wide. We were able to hold on to everything. The car didn't really feel squirrely, but, it's just a fun car to drive.
Absolutely, and a great finish there in third place. You looked like you could win it with about 10 to go. Unfortunately, got a bit shuffled back there at the end. But hey, nice job, and we hope to see you again up front there, Batman, soon.
Hey, absolutely. I'll see you guys next week.
And that was Brian Yahtzee, our third place finisher. So now we go upstairs to our second place finisher, who is with James Kahula. James Kahula.
Tommy Ryan, you put your KMA experience to the test tonight and come home with a second place finish. Definitely wish that we could have been in under green there, but yeah, give us your thoughts and everything on the last bit of the race there.
You know, the whole pit strategy was to get on pit road and it's at the late part of it and just have just enough fuel and everything to where we'd have to pit again and have some track position to put ourselves in position as we were there at the end of the race. And then I knew some guys would start doing the top, but typically in this car, you know, the middle car usually gets out front coming to the line, and I was trying just to maintain temperatures and be able to push Jody to the win there. And unfortunately, and sorry to Nick, but when I turned the car into the corner, it acted like it was going to go, but for some reason it just started shoving the nose to the right, and then I gave it some more wheel, and then I just couldn't stay off of him and just screwed everybody up there. But it was going to be a hell of a finish.
Yeah, we saw a lot more tire strategy than we're used to seeing at any of the restrictor plate tracks. Was the car pushing more than kind of what you guys are used to seeing today, where normally you would be taking no tires or possibly even two? But we saw a lot of guys taking 2 and 4 on almost every single pit stop. Did they make a big difference today?
No, I mean, the last time I hit pit road, and all my teammates as well, we took 4. And we weren't planning on coming in after that, and we had, I don't know, it was right within our fuel window. But the car actually drove fine. It was just right there at the end. I don't know if it was because we were 3 wide and so tucked up on each other, maybe. You know, it was just kind of weird. It's almost like my right front was kind of going down or something. But it was all aero, and I'm sure that I had some tire wear because I was working hard to stay with Jody there and just try to stay lined up and keep the draft, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of those that we wish we could have seen it play out there to the end, but still a great run regardless. That's definitely going to help put you in a good position, hopefully gain some ground up in the point standings. But Tommy, is there anyone that you would like to thank or any plugs you would like to make?
Yeah, I got to apologize to the team owner because he's going to have to fix my race car and a bunch of others. But yeah, obviously Northern Tool and Bike Mart, Nylabone, Petco Foundation, you know, and you guys for putting this thing on and doing a great job broadcasting, man. It's a lot of fun when it's like this.
Well, you guys make it a lot easier when you put on a great show as you did. Tommy Ryan, your second place finisher. Thank you, Tommy.
All right, y'all don't forget to plug the page, Unacceptable Racing, Facebook. Later.
And that was our second place finisher, Tommy Ryan. And so now we are going to go to our fourth place finisher because Dan Murray is still celebrating, and that was Jesse Fowler. Tanner, you have caught up with Jesse.
Yes, I have, and Jesse, you get a nice top 5 finish after the leaders had an incident down in turn 1. I seen you lost the lead pack when that incident happened, but I have to ask, early in the race, about lap 14, 15, there was an incident happening on the track, and you ended up missing that incident, luckily, and you came down to take 4 tires, and that was the last time you had a pit stop. Was there any handling involved at all during the race?
No, I mean, it was pretty clean, throughout the race. Didn't have any trouble, so I had 4 tires. These cars, the Xfinity cars, they're really stable. They're probably my favorite car to drive, because they really don't have much issues. There's an occasional push here, when you get 3 wide and stuff like that, but other than that, I mean, it drove really well.
Yeah, they seemed like they drove pretty well, and some cars were dancing all over the place, but I guess that's typical when it comes to plate racing with the air that's moving around the racetrack. But yeah, that was your final pit stop around lap 16. You took 4 tires and fuel, and you came upon that. Then you lost the lead pack. I was just curious, how did you end up losing the lead pack?
Well, when the wreck was happening in front of me, I looked like Bryce had got clipped. I couldn't exactly see what happened. I saw Bryce come across. I just backed off because it looked like I was gonna get into it. It looked like it was gonna be worse than it was, and I thought the caution was gonna come out. And by the time I got back into it, I was just a tad out of the draft, and I just couldn't hang on.
And that might have been a strategy on your part with the leaders actually wrecking down in turn one, and you come out with a nice fourth place finish. Is there anybody you would like to thank for putting on this event tonight?
I really just want to, thank ASRS. I mean, they've done a really good job putting on this league. All 4 or 3 of their series. I've really enjoyed racing with them all year. Real happy with Unacceptable Racing Team since we've been racing. I've been with them all this year. It's been awesome.
And that is Jesse Fowler, who ends up with a 4th place finish tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, and yep, that was Jesse Fowler, 4th place finisher, and Dan Murray, like we say, our winner today. I think he's out there celebrating a little bit, and honestly, who can blame him after how intense that was? And once again, a nice move by Dan Murray. They're definitely not afraid to go 3 wide, and it helped pay off when there was an incident with 2 laps to go, and they gave him a win here at Talladega, and they will be back in action at Kansas next week. I don't think that is a GSRC broadcast, but you should definitely go and check it out on iRacing, watch as a spectator, because these guys always put on great shows. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the ASRS Xfinity Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. We would also like to thank the various makers of the software and hardware that help make this stream possible: iRacing.com, Behringer, XSplit, Audio-Technica and AverMedia. Thanks to the team today: James Kahula, Tanner Sharp, Kevin Brown and our camera guru Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. We would also like to send a special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. We have all of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down on your calendar, and be sure not to miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.